Welcome to 2 Cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz. I'm Rue. I know you guys have been asking for us to get back to the boxing, so we're back to the boxing here today. I want to talk about Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson. Shakur is out there saying Frank Martin ducked him. The fight is off. We heard it was on, but now we're hearing that it's off. And, the term duck is kind of getting a little played out for me, but, just for the sake of the video. Do you think, based on the facts that are out there right now, that Frank Martin ducked Shakur Stevenson?
Oh, it's a loaded question, right? Because it depends on what you define as duck, right? And I know you mentioned this as well in the past. You don't truly believe fighters are scared of other fighters. There are particular reasons as to why fighters may not necessarily fight another fighter. I do think money do matter, but if you avoid to fight, because Frank Martin just actually did an interview where he essentially said in so many words that, he declined to fight because of money, right? He wanted a bit more. He felt like it was reasonable and he didn't get that. So he declined to fight. He felt like, he deserved his worth, right? So in that case, for me, I'm usually on the fence about, the ducking when it comes to money, because I do feel like there are individuals who price themselves out, fighters who in fact price themselves out because they know they're going into a dangerous fight. So in the event that they do lose, at least they've made enough money, and if they don't get that money, then they're okay with not fighting, or they'll price themselves out just to avoid the fight, right? So I don't think Frank Martin is actually doing that. I genuinely believe he is asking for a bit more money. But if what Shakur is saying that this is, the most you've ever gotten paid, then why not take the fight? This is really, because at the end of the day, you're going to benefit, win, lose, or draw. You're going to benefit from this fight. So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a duck as of right now. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence, if I'm being honest. I really got to reevaluate the term ducking. How about you?
Yeah. So I actually heard that point too from Shakur about just the most money you ever made. But the reason why I disagree with that point is, if as a fighter, right, let's say I'm a fighter and I just know in general I'm worth 40% of the revenue, right? So if the fight isn't making a lot of money, I'm still worth 40% of that. But if it's a fight that's making a larger amount, I'm still worth 40% of that. So even though you think that 1 million is my largest payday, I haven't made that before, but in general, if my worth is 40% of the you know what I'm saying? The revenue, the bigger pot, that means I'm still worth that, but we have to break it down into the percentages.
Okay, so Shakur's not necessarily wrong about him making that. That's not like that. That is really the most money he's made. But I get what you're saying. You're saying that it should be fair from a percentage aspect as opposed to a hard number.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's say we go out. We about to hit a lick. You like, all right, Rue, I'm gonna do most of the work, but you gonna do this. I'm gonna give you 30% of the lick, right? Yeah. So if we go and we hit for 100,000, it's like, all right, I get my 30%. But if we go out now and we hit for 1 million, I still get my 30%. You're not going to say, I'm going to give you this because it's more than you ever made. Like, no, you told me my portion in this lick is going to be 30%. No matter, and so if we hit for bigger, I still get my 30%. And I'm just saying that because based on the interview, it didn't sound like, because I heard something allegedly Frank Martin wanted 50-50. But in this latest interview, it sounded like he was willing to take less money than Shakur, but he was just saying what he didn't. I didn't hear him say the figure, but he
just didn't give a figure.
More than the million. And then this is not the first box I've heard said this. Like, $1 million's not $1 million once them fees get breaking. I think I heard Mikey Garcia talk about it.
Yeah, it's with everything though. It's with every number. Yeah.
And then I think the tough part is, and I like Shakur Stevenson. I like his demeanor, but didn't you just kind of run into this situation with Devin Haney and you were almost like, how dare you offer me 25%?
Yeah.
When actually in Devin Haney's situation, based on the mandatory and everything, Devin Haney was kind of allowed to offer him that. In this situation, I think, what is it? I don't know if it's an eliminator, a title eliminator.
The WBC, the vacant WBC, which I don't know. I think they're going to be stripping Devin Haney for the WBC title for 135.
I don't think in this case there's any legality that's written down that says, okay, Frank has to, Frank should take, at least in Devin Haney's situation, he can point to where in the, by the commission rules, it says, if you activate your mandatory, you're entitled, you kind of get what I'm saying there. So I think it's okay for Frank to try to negotiate more money. Now, do I think Shakur is a bigger name? Yes.
I got a question. Did Frank decline it? Didn't he? He didn't even go back to negotiate though, right? Or what? How did it fall apart? Do we know
So this,
like who
I
pulled?
don't think we know. I don't know.
Out?
I don't know. But from what he's saying, it almost sounded like, it kind of sounded like he like a one counter. It didn't sound like a tug of war. It kind of sounded like they said, take this. He was like, nah, I want this. And they were like, no. And he was like, F y'all. It's kind of what it sounded like. It didn't sound like a back and forth back. You know what I mean? It sounded like it was real, like kind of straightforward. Hey, we giving you this because you never made this before. So you should be happy with this. Like, nah, I'm not happy with that. I want that. No way. And it sounded like it kind of just fell apart. Like it was real. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's kind of crazy because like Shakur's the bigger name, right? Obviously, has a better amateur pedigree. He's more known. But let's say this fight is not in Newark, right? Let's say it's out in like a neutral. Let's say it's in Vegas, right?
Right.
Like none of these guys do crazy numbers.
Yeah,
you know, you know what I'm saying. So I don't think it's like.
But does that also fall in Shakur's case because it's not going to do crazy numbers? You're asking for more than what the bout can initially generate.
That's
right.
Like, it almost seems that way. You know what I'm saying? So
then Frank can. So Shakur might have some merit by saying you're asking a bit too much. But then again, we just don't know what Frank was really asking for. That's really what's gonna.
That's true as well. But it almost seemed like Frank's saying like, "All right, bro." Like he didn't say these words, but but it seems like the number that Shakur's making is so much significantly larger than Frank's number. Is what it seems. That it's just like, all right, none of y'all don't do crazy numbers. So it's like, what makes you entitled to 75-25 when, like I said, if it's not in Newark and let's say it's not in Texas, right? It's in a neutral location. I think Shakur will bring in slightly more people, but I don't think he's just gonna sell out. You know what I'm saying? Like this is gonna be free TV probably. ESPN Plus. You know what I'm saying?
ESPN Plus,
but
he tried to violate Shakur.
But it's gonna be ESPN Plus, like just a subscription. You don't have to get the subscription, then pay for the pay-per-view. So it's just like I get where Frank is coming from. You know, I think this is more like maybe like a 60-40 kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's a 75-25 situation. So I get where he's coming from, but I do want to see the fight. So I want them to make this work, talk it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hopefully they can figure something out. Because I generally don't think Frank is scared, and I get it. If you about your bread, you about your bread. But like we was talking about, like you mentioned, man, I mean, honestly, the way I look at it, I do think Frank should have probably just taken what Shakur gave him, if I'm being real. But then again, Shakur, if you felt like you could have beat Devin Haney, you should have took that 75-25 as well.
So does that make Shakur
what I mean?
Is he
it kind of does. And because at the end of the day, it's about money. Yeah, there's context and it matters, but it's still about money. Like, you know what I mean? And then also your big homie, your big brother also kind of followed suit as well. So it's kind of like you gotta call him out too. You know what I mean?
Terrence, he was like, nah, I'm not fighting for what I consider less than what I consider myself, like what I'm worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now that someone else is trying to do that, is like, Shakur, I bet you like you agree with Terrence doing that. So obviously, everybody's trying to get their bread. So I get it, Shakur. Like you don't really care about Frank's pockets, but it's like you got to at least somewhat understand, because in the Devin Haney situation, you just felt disrespected. So it's like, if you're gonna say Frank ducked you, you gotta kind of say you ducked Devin.
Yep, I agree. I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? And
I agree.
I don't know. It's a dicey situation, and then I think Top Rank is entitled to. They won the purse bid, and just feel like when it comes to Top Rank, a lot of these things get real weird when it comes to finances and stuff. And I don't know, man.
Top Rank be rolling, man.
Yeah, I mean, but if the fight were to happen, don't get me wrong, I favor Shakur, right?
Right.
But like I said, he's to me, he's a bit more known. So I get him getting a bigger split. But I don't know if it's 75-25. That seems kind of wide. You know what I'm saying? For two people, neither of them have a belt. Neither of them are pay-per-view stars. You know what I'm saying? One is just more known, a bit more known. It's not even like a Gervonta situation. Gervonta fighting someone where Gervonta is significantly more known and driving all the revenue. You kind of get what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like they got to like bring it closer. I'm not saying to give Frank 50-50, but I think 75-25, if that was true, is a kind of wild number in this case. Guys are both like 18-0, 19-0, you know what I'm saying? Like, then guys,
upcoming fight like, you know, Frank Martin. Would you say the gap should be closer between Shakur and Devin versus Shakur and Frank? Like, let's say if you say 60-40 for Frank and Shakur, what would you say? Because it can't be 50-50 for Devin and Shakur. Like, how would you kind of rank them, those situations, those oppositions?
I think Devin could give Shakur. I know I didn't love the 25%, but I understood it. But maybe to be fair, 65-35. Because at the end of the day, what Devin has that he can say is, okay, I'm bringing 4 belts. I'm taking all the risk here. I'm putting all my championships up. These two guys are about to fight for maybe a vacant. You get what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
Devin's like, I got all the hardware. I'm putting the hardware up. I'm taking
That's
all the risk. You know what I'm saying? So at the very end, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm putting something up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he can at least say, no matter what you say the numbers were, I fought on pay-per-view before.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
yep. Good point. But definitely, man, people in the comment section, just let us know what you guys think. Do you think Frank Martin is a duck? Do you think Shakur is a duck? Do you think, you know, Frank Martin has merit or, you know, has a justification in requesting more money? And do you think, you know, they'll get an opportunity to fight one another, right? So definitely leave your thoughts, comment